Okay, how's everybody doing? How you doing? Teal Shirt Report podcast. Welcome in. We just got to make a fresh episode out of this episode show number 58. I've been busier than a man. I tell you, getting ready to make these sayings now, and you're going to be politically incorrect this day and age. I've been busier than a foreign gentleman picking up acorns. I ran into a guy. I think he was from South Korea, spoke great English, and he was talking to me the other day in the neighborhood. He was visiting a friend, I believe, and he was picking up. He was amazed at the acorns on the side of the sidewalk. He says, "Boy, that's a big tree over there." And there is a big tree in the neighborhood here in the Riverside area of Jacksonville, Florida. He was picking up acorns. He was amazed at the different types and shapes and colors of the acorns. And I've been busy as that guy. He was picking up a lot of acorns. I told him, I said, the squirrels get those. The squirrels take them back to the tree, right? Did General Manager Trent Baalke gather up enough acorns in the offseason and in the offseason before that? Jags are 2-6. My feeling is the GM needs to be gone, but I'm not sure he will be. My executive producer says, yeah, you need to call out names on players that are not earning their salaries. And I will say this, I don't think this applies to everybody on the team. No. I will say that we're going to take a look at the stats. Jaguars got beat by the Packers, a game they could have won, should have won. And then I go up on, Twitter, and I see a couple of things up there about the problems with the team and, this and that. Jaguars are now 2-6. They lost to Green Bay 30-27 after tying the game up. I must say, a great catch by Evan Ingram. Around three guys that were basically shorter than him. He did make a nice elevation of a jump. Currently here in Jacksonville, clear to partly cloudy and 66 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida, here at the end of October. So not real cool now. It was cool a couple of days ago, but now it's somewhat cool. 66 degrees, high temperatures get up to around 82. Lows at night going down to around 64. There's less than a 20% chance of rain. Could get breezy at times. Winds east at about 6 to 21 miles per hour. And then I see another guy tweeting about he's already putting the line up for the Eagles-Jaguars game. And, man, and then another guy says, man, he didn't want to see that, and people weren't ready for the line of the next game yet. We are still absorbing the shock of losing to Green Bay. When a good source of mine picked the Jaguars to beat the spread, not only beat the spread, but win the game. Now, they beat the spread. The spread was, 4.5 points, depending on when you did dive into a football pool, and our information is for informational purposes only, but the people that played the Jaguars against the spread actually won because the Green Bay Packers were like a 4.5 point favorite, depending on when you did dive in, whether you got 4 or 4.5 points. Jaguars lose by 30-27. I only thought about that stuff long after I'm trying to brush off the disappointing loss. I saw a post on Facebook, and I told people, I said, hey, I've lived and died with this team since 1995. People know my history. I've been covering the Jaguars, a fan of the Jaguars since even 93 when they first got the team, before they even started playing games in 1995. Now, my executive producer wants me to call out names. Well, I mean, I can. I can call out names, sure. There are some players playing well. There's some players not playing as well as they could. Whether a player is giving 100% of the effort or not, even if he's giving 100%, he may not be earning his salary. I can't believe I said that, but I am. I'm going to say that. 100% of the effort. Now, some of this can be blamed on the GM for picking certain players in certain slots. Now, I followed Trayvon Walker. I think he is an improving player. However, he's not the player that the Jaguars thought they were going to get at number one. He's a nice player, maybe a second round or third round pick. He's not a number one overall pick. He's not. That's why the general manager needs to be fired. 10 minutes before that draft in 2022, I'm hearing two former Jaguars, highly respected, saying they thought the first pick would be an offensive lineman. They really did. And then it's Trayvon Walker. A couple of games ago, Trayvon gets a sack, but only 3 tackles in the game. I'm going to take a look at the stats for this last game we just came out of, too, Green Bay and Jacksonville. You know, obviously, Josh Hines-Allen makes a lot more money than Trayvon Walker because he just signed a huge deal. Trevor Lawrence, is going to make a lot more money. I think. I don't know the whole ramifications on Trevor's deal when it kicks in after. I don't think Trevor's big money really kicks in until after, his first 4 years, and he's still in his 4th year, or he was on the rookie deal, but he signed a deal. He's basically, there's an investment been made with Trevor Lawrence for 10 years from the time he's been drafted. So he'll be with this team for 10 years. He will. He'll be with this team at least 10 years unless he's traded. Could Trevor Lawrence ever get traded? Sure. I think any player almost could get traded. They may have the right to veto the trade. I don't know all the ramifications and it depends on how many years Trevor's been in the league. But I don't think the whole problem is Trevor Lawrence. I think part of it is, but part of it's not. I mean, Trevor fumbled or dropped the ball. He didn't really drop the ball. He knocked the ball out of his hands because he was holding the football with one hand, his left hand. And last I checked, Trevor's not left-handed. It's kind of tough to hold the ball with the left hand. I'm sure he's got a big hand. He's tall. He's about 6'6", so he's got a good sized hand. If I want to call out names, I think with Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to state about 3 things. I think he has all the talent to be a great quarterback in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind. He can make most of the time. He can make all the throws. I think there's issues. There's an offensive line that's not going hard at it all the time. If I wanted to call out a name, I'd call out Cam Robinson. However, Cam Robinson has now, we've just learned, been traded to the Minnesota Vikings. But we expected perhaps that because, he's at the end of the line here in Jacksonville. Cam Robinson has been traded for a draft pick or maybe a couple of draft picks. I haven't heard the dust hasn't settled on the Cam Robinson trade, but yes, he's on the way to Minnesota. I'll call his name out, even though he's leaving. I'll call his name out. I've watched Cam. Cam has played well at times. And then left tackle Cam Robinson has not played well at times. So there's a consistency problem with Cam. Was he earning his money all the time? Absolutely not. Other offensive linemen, you can call them guys out too. I saw Sheriff got hurt the other day because it looked like the Jags put an extra offensive lineman down in the red zone, down near the goal line, trying to score. And then the other offensive lineman, I think, I'm not trying to make light of it, but he kind of like fell on Sheriff. And I don't know the extent of Sheriff's injuries, but I know he came out of the game. I'm sure we'll get an update on all the injuries in the next day or two. This is October 30th of 2024. You ever seen the old movie, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore? I'm going to go to the window and shout and all that. Well, that probably would have been me right after the game. Now I've had a chance to digest it, and that's probably a good thing. When the players talk to the media right after the game, yeah, that's why like a guy like Cisco says there was some quit on the team. And he said it right after the game because he's very frustrated. I think he was speaking probably the truth in his mind. Was there players quitting? I don't know. I think there's players not earning their money. I'll repeat that. There's players on the Jacksonville Jaguars not earning their money. The team is 2-6. This team should have been at least, at worst, 4-4 at this juncture in 2024, especially when Shad Khan said, I think he basically came out and said this is the best team assembled since the Jacksonville Jaguars, since Shad Khan's owned the team, is kind of what he was inferring to. And that's not the case. You're 2-6. That is not the case. The loss to Green Bay 30-27 was a typical Jaguars loss. I can't blame everything on Cam Robinson. You know, there's other players too that are not earning their salary. They may make a big play now and again. I'm going to pull up the stats for the Jaguars Green Bay game. We're going to take a look at it. I'm not going to get too much into college football. I know the Florida-Georgia game's coming up this week, this Saturday, November 2nd, kickoff at 3:30. RV City is open right near the stadium, so the Georgia fans are coming in. The Florida fans are coming in from all over. The game is played in my hometown in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville versus Green Bay last Sunday. Today's already October the 30th, right? Let's see if I could pull some stats up. Jaguars lose the game. Green Bay Packers 30, Jacksonville Jaguars 27. Now, you do know a couple of weeks back, while the team was still in London, or did they make that trade? I guess they made the trade in London or while they were coming back when they traded Roy Robertson to Harris. He's gone. He's gone to Seattle. This team, they're not playing for this year. They're not. Then you have a wide receiver going out for a pass. I mean, a long pass, a tough chance. If he comes down with it, it's a really, really great catch. Christian Kirk falls on the grass trying to catch a Trevor Lawrence pass, which I think Trevor's pass was okay. I think it was a good pass. It was a long pass. It's a tough chance anytime a receiver leaves his feet and goes up in the air trying to haul one in, and he fell badly. And apparently it is I believe, a shoulder separation from everything I've heard. And Christian Kirk's out for the year. And that'll probably wrap it up as far as him being with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't really see him back. Not this year, not next year, never. Not ever. The reason I did like the signing originally when Christian Kirk was signed, because the Jaguars needed a guy that could catch the ball, could squeeze the ball. It's true. He's not a guy that's going to outrun anybody with long post patterns or anything like that. He's not a number one wide receiver. He's never been that. But he was a guy that could catch the ball. He was good for the time. Packers top Jaguars in a thriller. How thrilling was it? That's what Fox News is saying. Packers top Jaguars in a thriller, 30-27. I mean, a pretty good football game to watch, but very agonizing. And the Jaguars lose. Really, the way they lost, it's typical of this team. It's typical. The field goal kicker for the Jaguars may be the best kicker they've had in 3 or 4 years. He's very accurate. He's got some distance on the kick. Very small guy in stature, but he's got a powerful leg. And I think most people are confident when he goes up to kick a 40 or 50 yarder that he can nail it. Talking about Cam Little, the rookie kicker out of Arkansas. Walker Little came in and played left tackle in the loss against the Packers, and I thought he played okay to good. He will now be the starting left tackle. He's been on the team. This is his 4th year. It's time for the guy to shine. He's in a contract year because he, unlike Cam Robinson, unlike Tyson Campbell, he has not gotten a new deal to my knowledge. So he's in the 4th year of his rookie deal. And Walker Little at left tackle is going to get a chance to show what he can do. I still think the Jaguars are going to draft a left tackle and a guard early and often. A left tackle and a guard. I think you got to have a left tackle and a guard in the first 3 rounds. Probably the left tackle in the first round. The guard, you got to get him in the 2nd or 3rd round. Then after that, maybe a defensive back somewhere. But I'm fairly happy with the Jaguars' defensive backs. Tyson Campbell came back in after his hamstring injury and has played pretty well, almost intercepted a pass in the game before the Green Bay game. So pass rush to me, and then I've got people saying, well, it's because you're not getting a lot of push up front from the defensive line is why the pass rusher can't get in there. Um, I will tell you, he's getting some sacks. I'm talking about Trayvon Walker. So I believe he's a nice player, a good player at times, but he's not that dominating player. He's not a number one overall draft pick. I mean, if you had gotten what you've gotten now in Trayvon Walker, looking back on it, if you'd have got him in the second or third round, he's a nice player. But he was a number one overall pick, and there's pressure, there's expectations that come from that. And not only are there expectations that come from that, but the general manager, when he picks a guy number one overall, he kind of puts himself out there. So if I can pull up the stats of the game, Jaguars lose to the Packers 30-27 back on last Sunday, October the 27th. We'll try to pull up some game stats. Yeah, let's see. We'll find some game stats for the game. Let's see. The guy that impresses me, and he doesn't get a lot of playing time, but now he will start getting more playing time, is a wide receiver named Parker Washington. He's returned a couple of pretty good punts. One went for a touchdown this year, as I believe. Jordan Love, man, how you can't control him? He was he was like a guy on his last thread. I mean, it took like a little bump after a play, just a little bump, to basically finish him physically, where he couldn't play anymore. The guy was probably 60% of himself at best. The Green Bay Packers might have to play without quarterback Jordan Love again as one of the, and this time it could be longer. And actually, by playing, he's added to more of his injuries. Coach Matt LaFleur said in concerning his quarterback Jordan Love, he had a high level of concern for Love's latest injury. Love missed 2 games in September with a sprained left knee. It's not getting any better, and he's playing on it. And but the Jaguars couldn't take advantage of that. Green Bay put 30 points on the board. Then they brought in the backup quarterback, and he's throwing the ball around, right? Pass rush. I think that's the key. I think it's the key. Let's pull up the box score, the stats, if you will. Let's take a look. Trevor Lawrence was not that bad, except for the fumble. I mean, the fumble on the 5-yard line is inexcusable. He didn't protect the ball. And you could say the fumble by Trevor Lawrence, in effect, cost the Jaguars the game. There's a couple other things you could say that cost the Jaguars the game, too. Trevor Lawrence, number 16, he was 21 out of 32, 308 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. You give the O-line props, only 1 sack on Trevor Lawrence for 9 yards, and you got Walker Little playing at left tackle. Cam Robinson was scratched, and he was a healthy scratch. He had a concussion, but he was out of the concussion protocol, which means he could have been active and playing in the game. The Jaguars going in said, hey, we're probably going to trade Cam Robinson for whatever reason. Contracts concerns, money concerns. And Cam, was he earning his money? No, he wasn't earning his money. He was playing well at times he was not. Tank Bigsby, another pretty good game. I don't think ETN saw the field again. ETN's another one that's probably on the trade block. Tank Bigsby, 18 carries, 78 yards. He had 100 yards the game before, and he's developing into a pretty good back. He still reverts to old habits like trying to shimmy and wait too long to look for a hole. He's just got to keep moving forward. But the last 2 games, he's showing he can be an effective back and he can carry the load. 18 carries, 78 yards. I think he carried it 26 times for well over 100 yards in the victory over New England, the second of 2 games in England. The last game was at the Wembley Stadium. The loss to Chicago, of course, was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But Tank Bigsby's a guy that he's got close to probably 200 yards in the last two games, 18 carries, 78 yards against the Packers. He gets a couple more carries, gets it up to 100 yards. That might have been the difference in winning the game. Tank Bigsby had 4.3 yards per carry. That's a good number. Trevor Lawrence, 4 carries, 10 yards. As we said, there was only one sack on Trevor. Dearness Johnson, the backup, because ETN is not playing because of injuries he's had. He's had a hamstring injury, and I know he hurt his shoulder early in a game about 3 weeks ago as well. So, of course, Travis Etienne is not 100%. And when does he play again? Does he play again? I'm thinking he'll be healthy enough to play again when the hamstring heals, because I'm sure the shoulder is much better. Maybe the shoulder's healed really well. Let's take a look. I heard there was an injury to Brian Thomas Jr., but a lot of people think he will go in the next game. 3 catches, 60 yards. That's the number. 20 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, 4 targets. When you target your receiver 4 times and he catches 3 passes, that's pretty darn good. 3 catches, 60 yards for 20 yards. 20-yard average is what I'm trying to say. Brian Thomas Jr., 3 receptions, 60 yards, 20-yard average, 1 touchdown, 4 targets, and 3 catches. Brian Thomas Jr. is the best receiver on this team. Christian Kirk, 2 catches, 59 yards, almost grabbed another one. If Christian had not hit the ground wrong, catches that ball, man, he's got almost 100 yards receiving. That was a long pass, that one he couldn't come up with. And he separated his shoulder or collarbone, or I'll have to get the official word on the injury, but, I believe he's done for the year, and I don't see him back because of contract concerns. I don't see him back with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been a nice player, been disappointing at times, just in some people's eyes, no doubt. Brenton Strain's a tight end coming on, 5 catches, 59 yards. Parker Washington's a guy that's going to get more playing time now that Kirk will be out for the rest of the year. Parker Washington had 3 catches in this game for 46 yards. Look at these guys. Brian Thomas Jr. averaging 20 yards a catch. Christian Kirk averaging 29 yards a catch. Brenton Strange catching 5 balls for 59 yards. Parker Washington averaging 15.3 yards per catch. I'm not sure that the problem is a quarterback, although he's making mistakes. There's a lot of pressure on Trevor. The offensive line is not the greatest. It looked like they held up maybe better this week with only 1 sack on Trevor. Dearness Johnson caught one out of the backfield, went 20 yards. Tim Jones off the bench, 1 catch, 20 yards. These guys were catching pretty lengthy passes. Trevor Lawrence, key stat, 1 fumble, 1 lost fumble. Man. 2 fumbles, and I guess Mitch Morris, the center, credited with a fumble also. Okay, so Jags actually had 2 fumbles, lost one of them. I guess Mitch Morris jumped on the other one. Okay. Stats on defense. This is critical. I see the standings. The AFC South standings have the Jaguars in 3rd place, a half a game ahead of Tennessee. Houston is 6-2. Indianapolis 4-4. That's where the Jags should be. They should be at least 4-4. Jacksonville 2-6. Tennessee Titans 1-6 as of this morning on October the 30th of 2024. Defensive stats I want to get into. Ola Khan is back. Boys say Ola Khan has recently returned from the IR. And now what is he doing? He's the leading tackler on the team again. Boysaid Alakun, 9 total tackles, 4 solo tackles. Ventrell Miller, man, I love the guy. He was a 3rd-round pick, so it was a nice pick by GM Trent Baalke. Ventrell Miller, 7 total tackles, 5 solo tackles. Devon Hamilton is playing well, appears to be healthy now. 7 total tackles, 3 solo tackles. Jeremiah Ledbetter, this is a guy that gives you a workman's effort. This guy was to my knowledge, never a high draft pick anywhere. I mean, 6 total tackles, 4 solo tackles. Darnell Savage, 6 total tackles, 4 solo tackles. And I think when they signed Savage, this is what they expected. Monteric Brown, one of my favorites now. Buster Brown, 4 total tackles, 4 solo tackles. Josh Hines-Allen got 4 tackles, 1 solo tackle, and a half a sack. Trayvon Walker got the other half a sack on the same play. And I'm not speaking out of turn. That's what happened. There was 1 sack. It was a half sack by Josh Hines-Allen, half a sack by Trayvon Walker. Trayvon had a sack in the game before, but only 3 tackles in the last game. So in 2 games, Trayvon Walker's had 7 tackles and a sack and a half. Andre Cisco likes to tackle guys. I think he may have gotten hurt some in this game too. Andre Cisco, 3 total tackles, 3 solo tackles. I've seen Andre Cisco get run over at the goal line, in his first or second year in the NFL. Devin Lloyd is coming on and improving, 3 tackles, 3 total tackles, 2 solo tackles. Tyson Campbell, man, I'm glad to see him back. He got as many tackles as linebacker Devin Lloyd. Tyson Campbell, 3 total tackles, 2 solo tackles, and he's playing pretty good cornerback. He was playing well, defending well in this game. And he's a good football player, and he deserved the and now that he's healthy, you can absolutely say that the cornerback out of Georgia, now in his 4th year, yeah, he deserved the re-signing and the redoing of his deal. So Trevor Lawrence was 21 out of 32, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack at 9 yards. Jordan Love, 14 out of 22, 196 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, no sacks. Absolutely no sacks on Jordan Love. He just sat back there. He was probably 60% healthy at best. And he completed some key passes, but Malik Willis, a backup, came in the game. He was a highly touted draft pick when he came out of college. He's the backup for Green Bay now. He's 4 out of 5 passing. Down the stretch, 56 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. And his quarterback rating, his QBR and rating was actually much higher than Jordan Love. So Malik Willis is probably the guy that's going to be going for Green Bay in the next several games now. The key for the Green Bay Packers was Josh Jacobs, 25 carries, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And you know what? I've seen enough stats. I really have. Are the players earning their money for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Not all of them. I expected to see more out of Josh Hines-Allen for the money he's making. I expected to see a lot more from Trayvon Walker due to the place where he was drafted in 2022. Numero uno overall by General Manager Trent Baalke. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Also by the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Mad Max coming at you tonight and every Wednesday night. I always listen to the Mad Max show at MadMaxMix.weebly.com. 6 o'clock in the evening until 8 o'clock Central Time. 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time. MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Big Florida Georgia game coming up. I'm a big Florida Gator fan. Mad Max is a Georgia fan, so we got you covered either way. Mad Max is our Georgia Bulldog football insider. Alabama guy is our executive producer, JC, who's also a big, huge Buffalo Bills fan since his childhood. So, oh, man, coffee, boy, you outdid yourself this time, man. That's some good coffee. Another sip is due. So, we're sponsored by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Lake Eufaula Hits. JC's live from the pub on Thursday nights, 6 o'clock p.m. Central, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday nights. Mad Max on Wednesday nights. Mad Max, I'm hoping to do an interview with you. I think Mad Max will interview me, bring me on the show this Wednesday and maybe the next Wednesday, or we do these interviews with Max maybe once or twice a month on his show, the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. Special thanks to by the way, the next Jaguars game, as I heard on Twitter, I think it's the Eagles We're going to talk more about that next time. I'm still working on the BigJReport.com SEC Power Rankings. That might be a real good thing to talk about on the next podcast. This has been episode show number 58. We got to accelerate these episodes now. We really do. We're at 58. Let me make a jot of that, jot it down. 58. 58. I don't have any players. I mean, there's a lot of players who wore 58, but I don't have them right now. We could do a 58A or we may jump to a 59 in the next podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Special thanks to our executive producer, JC. Another producer, Alex Nunnery. Alex has been covering ABA basketball and the new Bold City Rattlers playing the ABA. The 95ers are still playing. They play in a little bit of a higher league. The old G League, I think the 95ers league is just below that. And now you got the ABA or the ABA 2 or whatever they call it now. The Bold City Rattlers playing in that. And on our channel, there's actually a video with Alex Nunnery, one of our producers of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Check it out. If you're subscribing to the channel, you'll get all the content. And please do subscribe to our channel. Click the like button if you like these videos. Should I call out more names of players that are not earning their salary? Well, I think the guys that were not earning their salary have probably been traded. I'll give general manager Trent Baalke credit for that. In fairness to left tackle Cam Robinson, he's gone through injuries. He's gone through a PED suspension last year when he missed 4 games. He played well at times. And the Jaguars won some games last year early. They were 8-3 at one time last year when he was at left tackle. I know he missed the first 4 games last year, but let's face it, left tackle Cam Robinson, he was not consistent, not playing well all the time. Did he take plays off? Only Cam can probably answer that question. I know that when Trevor got hurt a couple of years ago, I think it was Cam Robinson that whipped on the block. I've seen things happen with Trevor being under a lot of pressure, and Cam Robinson just kind of turning around and looking back, and he's not even in the play. They've gone past him. Some players not earning their salaries. Cam Robinson has been jettisoned. You like that word, jettisoned? He's been jettisoned or jetted to Minnesota, and he'll be playing for the Vikings at left tackle. I think they had an injury on their line, so they needed somebody, and hopefully for their sake, Cam can play well. I'm sure the draft picks the Jaguars get are probably going to be predicated on how much Cam is able to play up there because he just came off a concussion. He was cleared last week, and I said, wait a minute, Cam's not in the lineup. It must have been something game where Cam said, my back's hurting. Oh, my back's hurting. My shoulder's hurting. But no, I think the decision had been made to trade Cam Robinson, especially after another loss, because now you're packing it in at 2-6. We told you on the last podcast, this was a turning point of the season. You win, you got a shot at going on a winning streak. You lose, and it's pretty much over. We're starting to talk about draft picks and things like that, and we've gone through that many, many times. Special thanks to our producers. Our Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 58, and all the episodes are, of course, eloquently produced by executive producer JC, also by Alex Nunnery. And want to thank our correspondent and contributor, John Gaylor. Thank you so much, John. This has been episode show, I jotted it down, 58, number 58. Walker Little, this is his opportunity to shine and prove he can be a left tackle in the NFL. He's been in the league. This is his 4th year. He's going to get a shot to start all the games now at left tackle. Hopefully Walker Little can stay healthy now. So that's kind of what's going on with the Jaguars. They lose to Green Bay. Green Bay got the ball down the field, got in field goal range, and just milked the clock until they kicked the field goal, and the game ended. Green Bay Packers 30, Jacksonville Jaguars 27. The Jaguars find themselves now 2-6 on the 2024 campaign. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast this time around. at bigjreport.com. My name's Scott. I'm your host for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We're going to work on the bigjreport.com SEC Power Rankings. Big Florida-Georgia game coming up this Saturday. There's Florida fans, there's Georgia fans. They're all coming together. RV City's already open, downtown Jacksonville, right next to the stadium. It's an exciting time in Jacksonville. Jaguars season at 2-6. Unless a miracle happens, this season is shot. I'm Scott for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Have a good day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate it. Thank you.